Infierno's plan, when he whipped up with that lash, was to send it streaking faster than the speed of sound and hit the horse that Grant Beans was riding on, in the hope that the horse would be in pain, would rear up, would buck Grant Beans off, or maybe go charging off into the woods or down the hill and maybe fall and break a leg and toss Grant off, something that would hurt Grant Beans, maybe even kill him. The whip came down with a crack, exactly where Infierno wanted it, right on the rear end of the horse. And the horse did rear up. And Grant Beans was no horseman. He had not grown up riding horses. He wasn't an expert rider. Somehow he maintained his seat, and somehow he maintained control of the horse, which is a good thing for Infierno, because the horse tried to attack Infierno. The horse reared up and then it lunged forward, trying to bite him, and then it reared up and tried to kick him. And Grant was on the back of the horse, just holding on for dear life. And he pulled back, and the horse came down and didn't fall. Grant stayed on his seat, and Infierno just stood there looking at him because he had not expected to be attacked by the horse. And the other riders were amazed that Grant had stayed on his horse. They all looked at each other, and they were whispering to each other about, wow, he must be an amazing horseback rider. And Grant said, friends, I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm not here to do what Infierno says, to destroy your saints, to burn down your church, or do anything like that. I heard that there is an epidemic of typhus fever in your village of Colana. And I come to help you. Myself and the other guy's name, which I can't remember. Which guy was this guy? Oh, Marcos. Myself and Marco Zantini, we are here to help treat the sick. And the other riders all said, oh, well, yes, we would like your help. Yes, I have someone who's sick in my house. Oh, I have a daughter who's sick. Would you come treat my grandfather? And they all sent him on into Colana, while Infierno just looked at them ride by. And he jumped on his horse and he rode away from the town. He was just so upset. They went into the town. They found many, many people who were sick. They spent all day treating them. The two main things that they could do to help people with typhus fever, number one was to try to help bring their temperature down. They had some aspirin medication. They would give them cool baths. They would teach the people how to use temperature baths, like doing some warm baths and cool baths back and forth to help control their fever. And the second thing they could do was teach them how to have cleaner houses. They said, listen, if you guys would take baths regularly, wash your clothing, wash your bedding, you would help to get rid of all the lice in your home, and then you wouldn't have those little insects going around biting you and giving the infection that gives you this fever. And we were all very glad for that. Now there were two houses that they stopped at, that there was a man sick in each house. The father in each house was sick, the husband was sick, and they took care of both of them, and both of those men did get better. Now what Grant didn't know was that those two men that they helped, among all the other people they helped that day, those two men were the main leaders of the village. They were considered the head men. They were in charge of making decisions for the whole village. They weren't religious leaders. They were just maybe you could say almost the mayor. They weren't elected, but they'd been in control and helping people for so long. Their names were Martin Champani and Melchior Mamani. And after they got better from their typhus fever, which they did, they started attending the Sabbath school in Irpochica. Irpochica is where Grant Beans was living at the time still, and that was 15 miles away from Colana. So they would travel there every Sabbath and attend the Sabbath school. Well, the main priest in Colana, Father Vicente, heard about this, and he was not happy. He called him into his office. He said, I have a problem with what you two are doing. You are going to the Sabbath school of the Adventistas. Don't you know they are Protestant heretics? Don't you know they have a different Bible than ours? This is why you should not go there, because if you read their Bible, you will learn things that will make you not be Catholic. And if you are not Catholic, you will go to hell. And if you lead the other people of this town to go to hell, then you will burn extra long in hell. You should not do this. It is too hard for you to try to understand what the Bible says. You are not supposed to be going and learning. And they told him, well, sir, Senor, we are not trying to lead the people to hell. Many of the people in Colana are going to that Sabbath school now, and so we thought we would go and investigate and try to understand. And we have a question for you, Father Vicente, said Champani and Mamani. In the Sabbath school, they were reading from their Bible. You say it is a Protestant Bible, and they are reading, and they say there that in the Ten Commandments, that there is a commandment that says, thou shalt not have any graven images. And we remember that when you talk about the Ten Commandments, and we see the drawing of the Ten Commandments on the wall inside the church, inside our temple, that it does not have that one. It says, thou shalt have no other gods before me. And then it says, thou shalt not not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. And they say there is one that should be between those two about not make graven images. How come that is? And Father Vicente said, oh, that is because it is in their Bible, but the Catholic Bible is different. We don't have that. Oh, we did not know that. You know, we've only ever seen the Ten Commandments in the Catholic Church on the wall in a drawing. Could you show us in the Catholic Bible? Yes, I can do so. Yes, you should read the Catholic Bible. Do you have one that we could see? I don't have, I don't know where mine is. I don't have my Catholic Bible here. But if you go to La Paz, to the capital city, talk to one of the bishops, they have a Catholic Bible, they will show you. Oh, very good, Senor. We will go there. We are going to travel. We will take our horses all the way to Viacha, and we'll take the train to La Paz, and we will go just to look at the Catholic Bible. Because, Senor, we want to obey the Catholic Bible. We are still good Catholics. We don't want to go to hell. So we will do whatever the Catholic Bible says. Very good. That's what you should do. So they travel all the way to La Paz. A long trip to the capital city. And when Champani and Mamani got there, they went to one of the different offices, to one of the churches there. They found a church that had a bishop in it. And they went up to the secretary. The secretary sat at a big desk. It was very fancy. There was all sorts of paintings on the walls and decorations hanging from the ceiling. And they said, yes, Senor, we are come all the way here from Colana. And our Father Vicente, he told us to come to see you because you would show us a Catholic Bible. Yes, very good. Very good. You sit down over here and I will bring you the Bible. You must wait to see the Bible. And they sat down and they waited for an hour and a half. And while they waited, Champani leaned over to Mamani and said, one thing that's nice about the Adventistas, they don't make you wait to see a Bible. If you start talking about the Bible, they pull it out their back pocket right away. After a while, the secretary came and said, you may come in to see the Bible. Okay, so they went into a special room. And there, on a special, what looked like kind of like a tall pulpit, there was a Bible. It was a pretty big Bible. And there above the Bible was some other paintings and so on, including the painting that they had seen in their own church of the Ten Commandments. And they looked at the painting on the wall, and there it said, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Remember the Sabbath day. Interesting. So there's nothing about graven images, they thought to themselves. But then they said to the secretary, could you please show us in the Catholic Bible the Ten Commandments? And the secretary said, oh, you want me to find it? I will try to find it. And so he opened the Bible and just kind of opened it. This is, the book of Matthew. Yes, I think it's in the book of Matthew. And Champani and Mamani looked at each other and said, and he flipped. Said, oh, no, wait, I know there's pictures in our Bible. Here, and he opened it up in the middle of Ezekiel. Here's a picture, and this is a picture of the Ten Commandments. They said, yes, that is the drawing again, but we would like to read the words, please. And he kept flipping pages back and forth. He got to Revelation, then he went to Psalms, and he went back. I don't know exactly. And Mamani raised his hand and said, Senor, I know how to look it up. I looked in the Adventista's Bible. I could check in this one. Maybe it's in the same place. So he went Genesis, Exodus, chapter 20, boom, there he was. The secretary went, oh, that was very good. And then Champani began to read. He put his finger on the Bible and began to read. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. And he looked up at the drawing. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Then he went to the next one. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images. Mamani, said Champani. Mamani, it's in the Catholic Bible. Look, it says so right there. Let's keep reading. So they read the third one and then they got to the fourth one. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. And that was all in the painting up there. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day, it doesn't say that on the drawing. It says, but the seventh day is the seventh. Mamani, it's in the Catholic Bible too. It says right there. Just then the door smashed open behind them. And in came the bishop. What are you doing? You're reading the Bible. Who gave you permission to read the Bible? They said, oh, Senor, no, it was Father Vicente. He said it was okay to read the Catholic Bible. We are only reading the Catholic Bible here. But you are saying you have seen also the other commandment in the Protestant Bible. Yes? Yes, Senor, we were comparing because we told Father Vicente we wanted to do what the Catholic Bible says, so we are here to compare. You are heretics! You are heretics! You are Protestantes! And I do not want you here. This is why I say that people should not read the Bible, they get confused. I will tell you what you know. And he took each of them by the back of their shirt, and he dragged them all the way out of the church, and he took them and he threw them out the door. And he slammed the door saying, "Don't come back!" Slam. And they looked at each other in the street. And Mamani said to Champani, "You know, when we talked to Father Vicente up there in Colonna, we told him we would do whatever the Catholic Bible says, right?" Champani said, "Yes, that's what we said we would do. And when we read the Catholic Bible just now, it said in there, do not make the graven images, right?" "Yes, that's what he said. And it also said, the 7th day is the Sabbath, is that right?" "Yes, that's what it said. So we should obey the Catholic Bible, right?" "Yes, that's what we'll do. We'll obey the Catholic Bible and go become Adventistas." Within 3 weeks, Mamani and Champani had started a Sabbath school in Colonna that had 130 members. And within 6 months, Elder Oswald had to come up all the way from La Paz to hold a baptism in Colonna where 100 people were baptized. Amen. And Father Vicente was furious. And then, within the next 3 months, there was a church built, there was a school built. This is all in Colonna. All because Grant Beans had gone and treated 2 men with typhus. There was a church built, there was a school built, they built a new home for Grant Beans, and they were asking him, "Hey, come and live in Colonna now for a while with us. Irpo Chica's had you for over a year. You need to come and be with us for a while." The people in Irpo Chica started to build a church as well. They only had a school so far. All these buildings were coming up, and Father Vicente was more than furious. And so he called for the best man he knew to help him get back at Grant Beans. Infierno. He had a meeting with Infierno, and he told him, "There is a problem in this town. The people, they are all going Adventistas. That is not good. I have a plan." "What do you think his plan involved?" "Alcohol. I will provide you with the alcohol, but you must give it to the people. Don't let them know that you got it from me, because we don't want our church to get a bad reputation for doing these things. But you take the alcohol, you make the people angry, and then you lead them to get rid of the Adventistas." And Infierno said, "Yes, I can do that." Well, problems started happening again. One day, Grant Beans was riding his horse from Irpo Chica to Colonna to check on the progress of the new church, which was almost done, and on the progress on his house, which was almost done. And on the way there, 7 or 8 riders came out from around some of the hillsides, and they chased him down the road. They had whips, and they were trying to whip him as they went down the road behind him. And only one whip caught him on the side of the leg, got one cut there. Otherwise, he was okay, and he was able to escape. And then, about a week later, a mob came in the middle of the night, and they came to the new hut that had been built for Grant Beans. And Martin Champani, one of the 2 men that had just been converted from Catholicism to Adventism a few months before, he had been there at the hut. He had slept at the hut that night just to help protect it, to make sure it would be okay until Grant could move in. And the men came and they pushed the sides of the hut. And remember, I told you that the walls of these huts were made from adobe. So it was just mud, dried mud, and then it had poles inside of it to keep it upright. And they pushed it until it collapsed down. And poor Mr. Champani was inside, and he got hurt. And as he tried to come out, they gathered on him, and they kicked him, and kicked him, and kicked him, until he was just curled up in a ball, just crying from the pain. And the next day, when Mamani sent a message to Grant Beans to tell him that this had happened, Grant said to Mary, "I have to go. I think I need to go and stay at Colonna and get this figured out." And Mary said, "Okay, I trust that God will protect you." And they claimed the promise that they had been claiming all these years now in Bolivia. "We are more than conquerors through Him who loved us." And then Grant left and Mary stayed at home. Grant told her, "I'll be back this evening. I'll be back before dark even, and we can have supper together." So Mary spent the day at home doing the different chores around the house and studying the Bible a bit and talking with people who would drop by. At one point, one of their neighbors dropped by. His name was Antonio. And Antonio came in, and when Antonio came in, she was peeling potatoes. And she was working, peeling, and coring the potatoes. And he came in, and he sat down at the table while he was chatting with her, and he took off his boots, and he put his feet up on the table. And he began scraping his toenails with his hunting knife.
I want to go back to my town.
And she was thinking to herself, that's disgusting. I'm going to have to wipe that table down when he's done. And then as he was finishing, he said, oh, I have made you sit here and do all the work. I will help you. And he took the same hunting knife and he started cutting up the potatoes for her. And she thought to herself, I'll just be sure to wash those potatoes and boil them extra long. But she realized time had been going by. And where was Grant? It was getting to be almost sundown and there was no sign of him. And then it was sundown and he still wasn't there and it was getting darker. And it would be hard to ride a horse back 15 miles from Colana to Irpochica in the dark. Where was he? Then she heard the sound of someone running up to the house. Footsteps, light footsteps, and it was a boy. His name was Martin. Martin lived about 3 or 4 hills over, and he came running up to the house. And he said, Senora, I came to tell you, there are fires on the hillside. I think the mobs are getting angry. Oh no, they've been there before, haven't they? Mary and Martin went outside to look. Now, at this time of the year, on the hillside that stretched up, remember we said it stretched up? The peak of the hillside was about as far away as the cafeteria. On the hillside, there had been workers, some of the farmers had planted barley, and now they had collected all the barley straw into stacks. So there were different stacks of barley all the way up the hillside. And at the top of the hillside, you could see the orange glow of fires on the other side of the hill. And that had always been the signal. When Infierno was at work, he would get fires started to call people to meet together to start their evil plans. And Martin knew this and he was scared. Mary knew this and she said to Martin, we're going to pray. Oh, Senora, we should run away right now. They are making them up. No, we're going to pray. So she prayed with him and then they began to sing. She taught him the song. Anywhere with Jesus I can safely go. Anywhere. And Martin interrupted and said, Senora, look over there. And so she looked, and up at the top of the hill, you could see a few shadows, human-shaped shadows, come over the top of the hill and start to come down. And they all kind of scurried together, and they came down and all joined each other behind one of the highest, furthest away barley straw stacks. And Mary said, well, I see them, but we're going to keep singing. Anywhere he leads me in this world below. And Senora, they're moving again. And she looked, and those 10 shadows had run from one straw stack to another straw stack a little further down the hill. She kept singing. Anywhere without him, dearest joys. Senora, they're moving again. And they had run to another stack, even closer. Mary breathed. She said, Martin, we're going to sing and pray. I've been through this before. God will protect us. Anywhere he leads me, I am not afraid. Anywhere, Senora, anywhere, they're coming closer. Fear I cannot know. Anywhere, Senora, they're running toward us. And we'll find out what happens tomorrow.